Week 11 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few defense DST units I have as sleepers this week. The first one, the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are out there in 75% of fantasy leagues. I know the defense really hasn't done much this season, but the last couple weeks they've actually gone out there and put up points. And I'm going back to early in the season where they versed this Atlanta Falcon team and had a monster fantasy day. So going back to that week 3 game versus Atlanta, no points given up, 2 interceptions, one of them for a pick 6 and a fumble recovery. So it was a big day for Carolina in week 3 and the last few weeks for this defense. Week 8 versus Buffalo, 40 points allowed, 2 sacks. Week 9 at Green Bay, pulled off the upset victory, 13 points allowed, a sack, an interception, a fumble recovery. Then last week, in Week 10 versus New Orleans, a game where you thought they'd go out there and win, they lost to the Saints, 17 points allowed, 2 sacks, a fumble recovery. So this week, like I said, versus Atlanta once again, this time the ball game in Atlanta, but the Falcons do give up the 10th most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. So I think Carolina, they could go out there this week, and like I said, they had a great game plan in Week 3 versus offense and shut them down. So they're sleeper this week. Next DST, the Miami Dolphins out there in 96% of fantasy leagues. I know the secondary is depleted. I know they traded a couple guys away at the NFL trade deadline, especially Deshaun Phillips. Was this Miami Dolphin team a solid linebacker? But the last 2 out of 3 weeks, they've actually gone out there and put up some numbers. Week 8 at Atlanta, 10 points allowed, a sack, a fumble recovery. Week 9 versus Baltimore, they couldn't do anything though. 28 points allowed, 2 sacks. And Week 10 versus the Bills, 13 points allowed, 3 sacks, an interception, and 2 fumble recoveries. This week, overseas game versus the Commanders, their offense is banged up. Terry McLaurin out once again. Jaden Daniels obviously out, even though I think Marcus Mariota is a solid backup quarterback. And also Deebo Samuel, I don't think is 100%. So with all those factors, and this Dolphin defense has played with confidence, especially last week, beating the Buffalo Bills in an upset victory. I think they're a decent sleeper option this week. And the final DSTs, the San Francisco 49ers. I know, obviously, Nick Bosa out for the season. Fred Warner, the 2 best guys on defense, are out for the season for San Francisco. But this week, it's a favorable matchup at the Arizona Cardinals that give up the 5th most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. So I know the last month of the season, this defense hasn't done anything. But like I said, this offense is banged up. Kyler Murray obviously out, even though I think Jacoby Brissett's been a big upgrade over Murray this season for this Cardinal team. But also number 1 wide receiver Marvin Harrison is out, where he was making good strides over the last couple weeks. I think San Francisco this week, they could go out there. This is a game they could bounce back after the Rams beat them in Week 10 and play a good ball game, especially with Marvin Harrison out. And this O-line isn't all that great as well of Arizona. We're out there right now in tons of fantasy leagues in 83%, so that's a few defense DST units I have as sleepers for Week 11 of the fantasy football season.